All right, let's get into Steph Curry right away. That was an incredible game. He went lights out. There was little bit of chatter about him saying, "Is he good enough still? Is he washed up?" He's been getting 30 plus points, but the Warriors have not been looking so
Yeah.
impressive. And kind of when you don't do that, when your team doesn't
Hmm.
play well, that star player kinds to
Yeah.
get some bit of criticism, and that was starting to happen with Steph Curry. It was just the murmurs were beginning to start,
Right.
and then he puts up this performance with 62 points, 8 3 pointers. He was thinking it from everywhere on the court.
Yeah.
Kind of showed Dame Lillard, who was on the other end of the court, that who's the real 3 point hero here.
Yeah. Look, first of all, can I just say this is what I like about the new schedule of the NBA, that at least the new system that they're enforcing now to minimize travel in these COVID times, is if a team travels to a particular location, they'll play back to back, maybe sometimes even 3 games in a row, and get those games out of their schedule, so that they don't have multiple travels to and from that city, right? So we're seeing a lot of these. We saw Milwaukee Bucks blow out the Miami Heat, and then a rematch like a day or two later, and the
Yep.
Bucks had a chance to, the Heat had a chance to come back, make some adjustments, get that W, and that was interesting to see. And I think we saw a little bit of that here too, where the Warriors got blown out, got a chance to come back, came back stronger, and it wasn't quite a blowout, but this was as convincing as a victory can come right now for the Warriors. Now, and Steph Curry, let's talk about Steph Curry's slander, because this was a performance for the ages. Let's talk about that slander. And thankfully, we were on the right side of history. We didn't look out. We didn't look. We didn't come out looking stupid, because from day one, since before the season started, what have we been saying? You can't rule out a team that has Steph Curry. You can't rule them out of the playoff race. They can at least, even on their worst day, try and get in the top 10, and then it's anybody's game, because then it's a play-in game. It's a couple of play-in games, and would you really bet against a player of Steph Curry's caliber there? Let's talk about the kind of adjustments they made, right? But before that, let's talk about why it's so dangerous to write off someone like a Steph Curry. People act as though, first of all, shooting's like swimming. You don't really become phenomenal, the greatest the game's ever seen, and then you go to being absolute trash garbage. Also, where's this energy? The energy that criticizes Steph Curry. Where's this energy when? And I love me some Luka Doncic, but his team's rock bottom in the West right now. The Mavs.
True.
Jokic, for all his triple doubles, is not in a playoff spot, and they're below the Warriors.
True.
Russell Westbrook, same thing. All their triple doubles, they're nowhere in the reckoning, right? Where's this energy there? It feels like there's so much overreaction to Steph Curry, because I still think, and sad as it is, there are genuinely way too many people in the world that still think that Steph Curry is a great shooter but an overrated player. That still think he got lucky on a lot of good teams, that he had a lot of great support, and they don't give him his flowers when he deserves them, right? And these guys keep popping up every time he has a run of bad games, every time teams in trouble, and say, "There, we told you so." It's confirmation bias at its best to look at a few games. Like really, two-time MVP, the league's only ever unanimous MVP, three-time NBA champion, five-time finalist, all of this, and it took a blowout win from the Portland Trailblazers, one game, and you all decided Steph Curry's done and he's not worth it and he's this and he's that and the other. It's ridiculous. When we say Draymond Green's out, let him come back. It's early in the season. What do we mean really? It's not that Draymond Green's gonna come and we expect him to get 25 points a game, take some load off of Steph Curry. That's not what's gonna happen. When we say it's early in the season, we're not saying teams are lazy. Some of them are maybe. But with the Warriors, the context that most people that said wait and watch were looking into is this is a new offense. A lot of these players didn't play with Steph Curry much. Wiggins got like a few games in at the end of last season. Nobody was really serious about it. Kelly Oubre Jr. is new to the entire setup. Pascal's young, hardly a couple of years in the league now. And Wiseman's a rookie. Like, forget about Steph Curry. He's never played pro basketball at this level ever before. He had like 1.2 games or something in college, and he's thrust under these bright lights right now. When you say they need time, even in the atrocious performances that the Warriors put in, if you notice, Steph Curry is moving all over the floor, with the ball, without the ball. He's spacing, he's making runs, he's slashing, cutting, and he's doing this thing where he'll give the ball up at the top of the key, he'll run somewhere to the bottom of the paint, run all the way to the corner, then run all around and come back to the top of the key and then step back to take a three, right? He'll cover the entire half court. And at which point, if you're looking for him, there'll be 3 or 4 times in his run where you can get the ball to him and he'll be in a position to make a high percentage shot. But none of these guys know that. It's not second nature to them to always give the ball to Steph Curry. Anytime in the past, if you're a player not named Steph or Clay,
Mm-hmm.
every time you have the ball, you're just thinking of one thing, right? How do I get the ball to Steph or how do I get the ball to Clay? That's pretty much the Golden State offense. And this was before Durant, to an extent during Durant's time and after. It's not instinctive to these guys. It takes time for them to really understand the off the ball genius of Steph Curry, where to get him shots. If Steph is making a run, how many times have we not seen Andrew Wiggins or Kelly Oubre Jr. just stand cemented to the court when Steph is making a run? When all they need to do is run in the opposite direction, set a screen for him, and that leaves him open for a three. He's not going to miss too many of those. All of these were second nature to the Warriors. Offense takes time to develop now, and that's really what you're seeing. It's what you're seeing when Draymond's there and he's calling plays on the offense. He knows exactly how Steph plays. And so Draymond's orchestrating the offense too, and not just the defense. These are the things that we were counting on, right?
Well, now that brings to a question. I mean, they started off miserably, like you said, they were
Yeah.
2-0 down, and then they won 2 games, but you could say that they won it against the Bulls and the Pistons, which are not really playoff material teams. Then this performance against the Trailblazer kind of inspires some confidence amongst the Warrior fans, right? Because Portland is a tough team. We were counting them even in the top four, maybe in the Western Conference, and then you pull off this kind of performance. Kind of so this coming week, I think is going to be super interesting for the Warriors because first they play up the Kings, which will first time give, which if they win will give them a winning record for the first time since the end of 2019 season. Uh, then they play the Clippers twice, which are definitely one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and that performance will kind of uh, give where Warriors will end up this season. You would think? You think this week is super important for the Warriors?
No,
For the
again,
Warriors?
no, I don't think so. I don't think we need to overemphasize any stretch of games that much. It's
Mm-hmm.
important from a momentum perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at the Warriors and I'm saying you still have a lot of stuff to figure out. This was a good win, sure, but it came on the back of a virtuoso performance, the likes of which you can't expect week in and week out. And if it
Mm-hmm.
happens week in and week out, it's 3 games before the whole team does nothing other than put 5 guys on Steph Curry. And then
Mm-hmm.
what, right? So I think they've still got to continue building. Um, Draymond was such a welcome return. He scored 1 point, and yet he's
Yep.
so valuable. I was chatting with a friend of mine who works in sports analytics, and he said, "How do we capture Draymond in a metric? How do we capture his hustle? I don't know if you can, but the value of a Draymond Green is in recognizing how you have an offense that's built around Steph Curry. When you see him on the floor, and he said it himself, he said, I saw it in Steph's eyes. He came out looking bang on aggressive. He wasn't going to pass the ball. This is very clear. This was his night. He was going to shoot. He was going to be a gunslinger. What does Draymond do in all of this? He ensures that the rest of the offense is orchestrated around Steph Curry. So when
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry gives the ball to Kelly Oubre and runs like 10 circles around the half court, Draymond's now directing what players should move where, who should go in the other direction and set a screen for Steph Curry. And that's really all you need to do. Give him some spacing, give him the ball at the right time, set screens, and make sure if you're not on the ball, get open for a shot and he'll find you if he can't take a good shot, right? That takes some getting used to. Draymond knows the system inside out. He really knows how to read plays that Steph is making. How do you adjust to those plays? And just him coordinating that offense, as hodgepodge as it was super effective. Ended up giving Steph Curry so many of his critical shots. And then when you have Steph Curry, who's not just getting hot from three, he's using those high screens, driving to the lane, finishing at the rim, getting to the line, hitting those free throws. I mean, he scored every which way possible, and then dished the ball out to some pretty cool assists when he was overpowered, right, on defense. And I'd look for them to build more on that. I'd look for
Mm-hmm.
them to create a fluid offense that uses Kelly Oubre Jr., that uses Wiggins, that uses Draymond and Steph. That four-way offense is super potent. And then you have James Wiseman. His development, his strength and conditioning, this is a long-term thing. In the short term, how do you integrate him into your offense? Because he kind of sticks out like an odd piece right now. Super
Yeah.
talented, but not really going to fit in too well in this fluid offense. So then is he kind of like a West sort of center who's in there and you pump the ball in every now and then? How do you integrate Wiseman? I think they should, and Steve Kerr is a great coach, right? I think they should continue building on this and not overly emphasize the importance of the next few games. to the point where it hampers the number of experiments they're willing to make and the number of risks
Mhm.
they're willing to take. It's a long season. It's 72 games. You have Steph Curry. You have Draymond back. Just keep building, right? Because hustle will win you a game or two. It's not really going to build enough capability to last the stretch. But setting up an offense, making everyone understand their rotations, how to make reads, how to make quick decisions on the spot. These are things that will hold them in good stead. Because otherwise, it's going to come down like a house of cards at one point or the other.